I would like to take a moment before we get into today's main episode and to talk about my sponsor for the podcast. Podmatch is a new podcasting site dedicated to all podcasters. The platform helps hosts get connected with potential guests to appear on their show, as well as allow guests to find podcasts that will give them a chance to share their story. Podmatch offers many tools to help organize your page, from to-do lists to episode planning to potentially appearing on a leaderboard. Podmatch has it all. The best part, you have the potential to get paid. And who doesn't like to get paid from home? I like to. With an easy sign up, you can start connecting with podcasters and guests immediately. I have been a part of Podmatch since the beginning of May, and I have got to say that it was the best decision I've ever made because Podmatch helps your podcast grow. It helps you get connected with people that have very interesting, very compelling background stories that are just waiting for their story to be shared. So if you are a host or guest and would like to start building professional relationships, explore more opportunities, and have your story shared, I highly suggest that you sign up with Podmatch today by going to joinpodmatch.com/lethal venom to start expanding your network in seconds. I would like to give another huge thank you to Podmatch for sponsoring this episode. Now on to our main episode, and again, you can sign up at joinpodmatch.com/lethal venom to begin your podcasting journey today. Hello everyone, welcome to the Lethal Venom Podcast. It's a show where I talk about anything I want with the honest to God truth, no lies told. Today we have a special guest. We have Mr. Robert B. Foster. He is a transformational speaker, coach, and author who has made it his mission to help people conquer self-doubt and unlock their potential. From being told that he would never run or jump again, watching his father pass away, to donating a kidney to his sister, Robert has lived a life defined by resilience and grit. Through his signature talks, his podcasts, and his book Shut Up and Grind, he empowers audiences to embrace their struggles as stepping stones to success. Whether you're battling fear, self-doubt, or a lack of direction, Robert's powerful message will inspire you to rise above and master your own story. So I want to welcome Robert to the show. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So if you could just tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do.
So I do a lot of things at the moment. So I manage a gym, and I can't tell with the background, but I'm sitting in my gym right now. And I coach track and field, indoor and outdoor. I host two podcasts, my Shut Up and Grind podcast, and then I do another one called the New England OCR Expo podcast, which is about obstacle course racing. And on the weekends, I have a side hustle at a restaurant. But I'm launching a speaker coaching business next month. So that's exciting.
So describe a little bit about your journey from when you were younger to now. And you said that you've donated a kidney to your sister and that your father passed away. So how has those moments in your life made the person you are today?
Okay, so to really understand who I am today, we do have to visit my childhood real quick. So I'm the youngest of seven, and we were all athletes. So for whatever reason, I got the genetic short straw. Like my brothers were big and muscular, and I was short and skinny. So watching them, I was proud of watching them in their sports, but I was like, what is wrong with me? Not to mention, I also had a pretty bad stutter growing up. So from being teased by my siblings, being teased in school for it, and then feeling like the ugly duckling of the family, it was tough trying to find my own voice. So now as a freshman in high school, just to paint you the picture, as a freshman, I was 5'4", 88 pounds. So when I tell you I was short and skinny, I was short and skinny. And again, my brother's over 6 foot tall, muscular. My dad over 6 foot tall. So I'm thinking that there's something wrong with me. So for the first probably 12 years of my life, I'm like, what is wrong with me? And then to add cherry on top, I go to my track coach in my freshman year, and I said, I would like to see the record book. And he looked at me like, why do you want the record book? And I said, because I'm going to break the high jump record. And he goes, you don't have what it takes to be a high jumper. He's like, why don't you go try hurdling instead? And in that moment, why would you say that to an aspiring athlete? Even if in that moment, maybe he was right. But by the time I became a senior, like I finally grew between sophomore and junior years, I grew almost 6 inches. So my genetics finally caught up to my drive. And not only did I break the high jump record and hold it for 21 years, I broke the Southern Division triple jump record, held that for 24 years, and I broke the pentathlon record, and I was part of the 4x1 relay record breaking team, which we broke that record, I think, 5 or 6 times throughout my senior year. And I share those things not to flex, because it's not about that. It's back up to what that coach said to me. In that moment, I had two choices. I could just listen to him and go and hurdle, or I can believe in myself. Like, I knew at some point my genetics was going to catch up to my drive. And so I worked at it. Like, I played the long game. Freshman year, coach was probably right. I really wasn't good. Like, I wasn't even like a promising high jumper. As a sophomore, like, I grew a little. As a sophomore, I was able to compete. As a junior, I was joining the best in the state. And then as a senior, I dominated. So it's about seeing what you want and being able to deflect all of the noise off of you. So anything that I've gone through beyond that, it really stemmed from that moment of that coach trying to tell me what my capabilities are.
What role does prioritizing yourself play in achieving personal and professional success, and why is it so hard for many people to do?
It's from societal brainwashing. It's what it is. It's like taking care of yourself is the best thing that you can do for yourself. So when you show up, whether it's for your family, for your career, for your business, when you show up, those people counting on you, they're getting the best version of you. That's actually, I believe it's chapter 5 in my book, is prioritizing yourself without the guilt. Because I know a lot of moms deal with that, because, like, for my podcast audience, it's 68% women. And in the fitness business, like, group fitness classes is like 70-30 women to men. So I've learned a lot over the years just from paying attention. And a lot of women, they put themselves on the back burner once they become a mom. And I use my talks to inspire them. I was like, no, it's like, when you're living your best life, like, your kids benefit, your spouse benefits, your coworkers benefit, right? So you take what you're working on and you got to make it bigger than you. So, like, you're not just coming into this gym to lose weight. You're coming in to inspire your spouse to get in better shape, to inspire your children to pursue a fit life. Your coworkers are watching your transformation, and you might inspire them to better their own health and fitness. So now it's bigger than you. So when that alarm clock goes off in the morning, it's easier for you to get out of bed, because you're showing up for something other than just you.
You had mentioned in your description about yourself that you had suffered from a life-changing knee injury. When you had your knee injury, can you share the moment when you were told you'd never be able to run or jump again? And how would you find the determination to prove that diagnosis wrong?
Yeah, so this happened when I was 32, I believe, 32 or 34, one of those. But I got myself back into competition shape, because, like, track and field, they have a masters meet, like masters championship. So 30 to 34 age bracket is what I was competing in. So now this was when I was just starting to get into fitness. Like, I managed restaurants for a while. So I didn't fully know how the body worked yet. So the way I was training, I didn't realize I was giving myself a muscular imbalance. Right? So the day the track meet comes, I do the long jump, I win the long jump. And then now I'm at the high jump. And so I had my age bracket already won. So I didn't have to continue jumping. But there was a 45-year-old still jumping. And then the competitor in me, I was like, I got to keep going. Like, I can't let this old guy beat me. And so he goes, he jumps, he misses. I go, I jump, I miss. But I felt a tug in my left knee, like right below the kneecap. But I heard it when I was 18, trying to qualify for the Olympics. So I ended up getting hurt. And so the knee would always flare up off and on. So I just thought it was another flare up. But little did I know it was the beginning of about to change my life. So he goes again, he jumps, he misses. I'm like, all right, he's cooked. So let me just nail this one and we're out of here. And so I go, I plant to jump, and then I saw white. It's like I felt the separation, but I saw white. And I don't know how long I saw white, but when I came to, my kneecap was about 4 inches up the side of my leg. So the patella tendon just completely detached and whatever else is in that area. And so I yelled for my now ex to call for an ambulance. The athletic trainer comes running over, and I had my hands like this over my knee. And I told her that I have an ambulance on the way, and she was like, "Oh, I don't think you'll need an ambulance." And then I moved my hands, and then she saw my knee, and the look of horror on her face when she saw my knee, she was like, "How are you not screaming in pain?" And I said, I don't know. I said, it's numb. So like, I didn't, like I said, I felt the separation, but there was no pain. And so I said, the more important question here is, how do I get my gold medals? Because at that point, there was nothing I could do. What happened, happened, right? So the moment you asked about, so I get into the ER, the ER doctor comes in and he removes the brace that the EMTs put on. And he just took one glance and looked me dead in my eyes and said, "You will never run or jump." So now I have 5 kids. So at the time, they were 10, 7, 2, and I had twins who were 4 months old. And I was just told that I'm never going to be able to run or jump again. So for a split second, I went down that rabbit hole, thinking like I won't be able to play basketball with my kids, or I won't be able to play volleyball with my kids, or just run with them at the beach, But then competitor me showed up again, and I was like, wait a minute, like we haven't even had the surgery yet. It's like how do you know how I'm gonna heal? Like when people break their arm, and if they have to have surgery to put the bone back in line, then they slap a cast on you, and the body heals itself. So like, how can this guy tell me how I'm going to heal? Even though he's a doctor, I'm like he can't do that. I'm like, no, like I don't accept that. I don't accept it at all. So from that moment on, all right, granted, after the surgery, the first 2 weeks was hell. Like it hurt so bad. So there were moments in there where I was like, what if he's right? But then once I was cleared to walk again, because I went home with a wheelchair and a walker. So once he said I can start using crutches, I used crutches for about 20 minutes. And then I just started walking. And then from that moment on, I was like, I'm definitely making a full recovery from this.
That's amazing being able to be told that you can never have the chance to run or jump again or even walk again and then be able to prove them wrong. That's just an outstanding, amazing story to share. So I appreciate you sharing that with me. Um,
Pleasure.
what was the hardest part about rebuilding your life after watching your father pass away?
Well, it really wasn't hard because I mentally prepared for it. Like when he was 70, we were having a family reunion, and I was like, why do we wait till people die to say nice things about them? I was talking with my mom. I'm like, why don't we give like a living eulogy for dad? Like while he's still here, we're gonna have the whole family. Everybody can get the microphone and share what we think about him while he's here. I'm sweating so bad. Sorry, it's warm in this gym.
You're good.
So when he got sick, so he got sick in January. Well, he probably got sick beforehand. We found out about it January of 2019, and so he had stage 4 congestive heart failure. And so just watching him just wither away, I think it was June of that year. I knew I was like his days are numbered, and he ended up passing in November. So the good thing is he didn't make it into 2020 because then life would have been hell for him and he would have literally died alone. So we had a very good ending for him. Like I'm of the mindset that death is a part of life. Like death is undefeated. Unless you're religious and you bring up Jesus's resurrection, but death is undefeated, so it's coming for all of us. So I had the mindset of it's our family's turn to deal with this, So maybe probably 2 weeks prior, I had already started accepting that we were going to lose him. Like he'd come home, end up back in the hospital, come home, back in the hospital. He had open heart surgery. He was doing well for a minute there, but then somehow he popped something in there and they had to go in again. But this time they left his ribs open and he was in a coma. And I was like, how is he going to survive if his ribs are open? Like I'm no doctor. I don't know how this works, but just using deductive reasoning, if he's not closed, his body's not healing itself. So when he passed, it was actually a beautiful thing. Like not the actual act of him passing, but I want to say there was like 12 to 13 of us in there. We had three different generations. They were able to unsedate him enough to where he could shake his head yes or no. And so we all um we all took turns saying our goodbyes. And my mom played, I guess it was like their sweetheart song, and my mom is singing to him. We're all bawling, but that's a great send off, you know. And so I look at it through that lens of gratitude. I mean, yeah, obviously the moment watching him take his last breath and just watching the color just leave its face, it's like I will never unsee that. But I'll also never unsee the beauty and the love that he got to endure in his last few minutes of life. You know, so like I look at it through that lens. And just that I was 45 when he passed. It's like I've interviewed people on my show that had abusive fathers, alcoholic fathers, never knew their fathers, were abandoned by their fathers, right? And I had this man as a rock in my life for 45 years.
How has your experience hosting over 300 episodes of the Shut Up and Grind podcast shaped your perspective on overcoming adversity?
Well, going back to the knee story, so the knee story is where the podcast came from. Because so being told that and then being able to defy that and to not only just run or jump again, I've done nearly 200 obstacle races. It took me 7 years, but I did get back on the track because I was like, all right, we have the comeback, but the comeback is not complete until I compete in track again. And I was scared because like I didn't want to go through that rehab again, you know, if it ripped. But I was like, but I have to get out there. And so you had mentioned I donated a kidney to my sister. And so being a living donor, they have an Olympic style competition. Because remember, I said earlier, I was trying to qualify for the Olympics, right? So life comes full circle. So it was an Olympic style competition called the Transplant Games. So I was like, all right, I'm going to make my comeback there. And I did the high jump. I had no expectations. I just wanted to clear one height and say that knee injury didn't break me. But I ended up winning. And believe it or not, I'm undefeated since I got back on the track with 16 gold medals. You know, so and again, I share that just because yes, I was petrified, and it took me years to get back out there, but I stared that fear in the face. Like I risked doing that again because I'm always of the mindset. It's like, how do I know if I don't try? You know, so like if I feel anything weird, I'll just stop jumping. You know, I don't remember the whole original question.
It was how your podcast has helped shape your perspective on
The
overcoming
podcast,
adversity.
Yes. So after my father, well, just before he passed, he and I were talking. I told him I was gonna pursue speaking, and I actually had, I think it was 8 speaking gigs lined up for early 2020, and we know how that played out. So all of those got wiped out. And so I went full force with my podcast because I actually started it in 2019, but with dad being sick and the hospital where he was an hour and 45 minutes away. So like, you know, and I still have to run my business. I still have to raise my kids. So like it didn't leave a lot of time to really dedicate to podcasting. So again, they shut the gyms down. And so I got more intentional with the podcast. And at first it was called Shut Up and Exercise. But I didn't want to just talk about fitness. You know, it's like fitness is huge and everyone needs it. Like, but I want to talk about the grind itself. So like what it took to be able to get myself to where I could do those things that I accomplished. Like it's not about the accomplishments, not about the gold medals. It was the road I took to get there and being in that mindset every single day. And so now with the podcast, I get to bring guests on from all over the world. Like I've had guests from 6 of the 7 continents, like literally all over the world. And the grind is global, you know, like the setbacks are global, but comebacks are also global. So it's amazing to bring people on and to just hear what they've overcome. Like I've heard so many different things. I'm sure you have too in your podcast journey, but so many different things. And it's about giving people hope. You know, because a lot of people reach a certain level, they get stuck, and then they just live out the rest of their lives being good enough. It's like, and you don't have to settle for good enough. There's enough people out there that are good enough. So I want to inspire those people that want to make that next leap. It's like, you don't have to be famous or have 10 million followers or anything, but just do something that lights your soul on fire. And that's the biggest joy I get out of doing the podcast, is just connecting with each guest and just feeling their stories of what they had to go through to get to where they are.
Yeah, since I've done my podcasting journey, I've had multiple guests come on and they've shared, every one of them has some very captivated story that they have shared with me.
Yes.
Um, who's been some of your biggest inspirations during your whole journey?
So, are you familiar with Eric Thomas? He's a motivational speaker.
I feel like that name's familiar, but I don't really
Mm.
directly know
Okay.
him.
Okay. Yeah. So I went to his speaker boot camp. This was back in 2017 in Atlanta, Georgia. And that weekend, it cost me $3,000 to attend, but that weekend changed everything. So I went down there. There were 41 of us in this multi-million-dollar mansion, where they rented out for the event. And so Eric Thomas himself was actually there on day two, and I was scheduled to speak on day two. Like, we each got 10 minutes, and I've never had a problem speaking. I've been in leadership ever since I was 15. So getting in front of groups or speaking to other staff, having regional meetings, I've done all that. So it's second day now. Dr. Thomas is there. It's my turn to speak. I'm like, all right, I got 10 minutes. I'm like, let me just shove as much stuff as I can into this 10 minutes. And that wasn't the right approach, but I'm glad I did it. Right. So I get back. I flew into Boston. I'm here in Rhode Island. So I land in Boston. I'm driving back down to Rhode Island. And Eric Thomas's CEO calls me. And he's like, Robert, thank you for coming down. He's like, you were far and away the most polished speaker there. I was like, oh, hey, thanks. But then he paused. Right. It's like, uh-oh. I'm like, what else is coming? Because I know how the sandwich works, right? So he says, but you're my most frustrating type of student. I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, didn't see that one coming. So he says, your story was so polished, you probably told it thousands of times. He said, but there was no emotion in it. He said, you didn't move anybody. He's like, you got to slow things down. He's like, you talked about getting fired from your job when your wife was pregnant with twins. He's like, and you just glossed over it. And then he broke down my story. He was like, what was it like when you were talking with your boss and when he handed you your final check? What were your initial feelings? When you were texting your wife to tell her that you just lost your job, what was going through your mind as you were typing in texting? Like when you walked in the door and you guys locked eyes, what was that vibe like? What was her vibe like? He's like, you could have spent the 10 minutes on just that, and that would have been more impactful. I was like, okay, like that one phone call, probably 5 minutes, completely transformed the way that I speak. So to answer your question, it was him, CJ Kinney, I believe is his last name. But yeah, that 5 minute phone call was worth the $3,000 for the whole weekend.
For what advice do you have for young athletes that want to pursue a career in any field of athleticism, whether they want to be a runner, a pro wrestler, or someone that wants to go to the Olympics? What's been the best advice that you've ever received?
You got to want it. It sounds simple, but you have to want it. Like, I coach track and field, and there are kids that'll be like, I want to get a medal, but then they're sitting down scrolling on their phones. It's like, if you want to compete, why are you on your phone? Like if I'm running late or something, because sometimes I hit traffic getting from the gym down to the school, and I'll get there and they're all sitting in a circle, waiting. It's like, you guys know practice starts at 3. Like, you don't need me to come around the corner and say, start the warm up. It's like, you guys got to take the initiative and start the warm up. It's like, I got myself there because I treated myself like a captain before I was a captain. So I was one of the few juniors to be named captain. Like, some of the seniors were mad. I'm like, but you guys aren't doing what I'm doing. And I was like, I'm pushing everyone. I'm getting people to cheer for each other. I get here before practice. I'm here at the end of practice. Like you guys, 4 o'clock comes, you guys leave. He's like, I'm here still working on my craft. So if people want to reach a high level, yeah, it's very easy to set high expectations, but now you got to have high work ethic to go along with it. So that's my advice for that.
What steps can someone take today to start conquering self doubt?
Start conquering self doubt. You need a purpose. That's what it is. You need a purpose. And that's what this book is about, because people ask me that all the time. So I wrote a book about it, right? And this book, it's immersive, right? It's only 15 chapters, and within those 15 chapters, there's 13 worksheets. Okay, there's 13 worksheets. So let me give you a couple of the chapter titles. Like chapter number 1 is "There's Nothing Wrong with You." See, a lot of people have doubt because they feel that they're inadequate in some area of their life. Like people fear public speaking, and it's not so much that they fear speaking, they fear failing. They fear looking like a fool, tripping over their words, or forgetting something. Like that's just because you're not practiced enough. Like there's nothing wrong with you. You just got to put the reps in. Like you asked me about prioritizing yourself without the guilt. Yeah, that's chapter 5. The pain of your past is fuel for a better future. It's like when you master your internal stories, like every question you've asked me, notice I've had an immediate answer. It's like I didn't have to search for the answers because my personal stories are very well versed. And so when you get yourself to that place, like I can walk into any stage in the personal development, mental wellness, health and fitness space. I can get it on any stage and rock any mic at any given time, because my stories are dialed in and I put in tons of reps. Like I said, I just did, but before coming on your show, I just did my 363rd episode of my show, and I've guested on probably 200, I'd say. So that's 563 reps that I got in. So like any other skill, you have to build it. So I tell people, if you want to speak or you want to share your story, start sharing your story. Like it doesn't have to be pretty. Like my first podcast episode did not look like this. I didn't have the fancy lights. I didn't have the graphics. I didn't have any branding. Like this book, this is actually the second cover on this book with the background. I don't know if you'll be able to see, but this was the initial cover right there. See how it looks like it just says up and grind? Like you can't even see the shut, right? So I didn't like the way it came out, so I made a new one. It's like things don't have to be perfect. So when you're going into something, I think that's where people let perfect get in the way of done. It's like just get it done. Doesn't have to be pretty. Nobody cares as much as you think they do, right? If you make a mistake, people might chuckle, and then they're gonna forget all about that mistake. So just get started. That's my advice.
If someone is feeling stuck in life, what's the first mindset shift you recommend to start moving forward?
You got to know what you want. No, that's the thing. You got to know what you want. So for most people, it's already in their subconscious mind, or it's something that they're currently doing. So there's this woman, Jessica Burgess. I interviewed her, I believe, in 2021. She has a blog called Fantabulosity. So she was a stay-at-home mom. And, in 2025, being a stay-at-home mom is like looked down upon. So she didn't want to be just a mom, right? So she started this blog, and she loved to cook, great recipes. And a friend of hers told her, hey, you realize you can monetize this. And she had no idea, right? So we fast forward now, she has a near 7-figure business from that blog, being that stay-at-home mom. So knowing what you want, that's half the battle. Like I'm getting ready to launch a speaker course on my birthday, August 18th, and it's going to be helping veterans tell their stories of PTSD. And why is that near to me? Because before my father passed, my dad was in the Vietnam War. He never spoke about the Vietnam War, except one time where he drank too much and told us stuff I wish I never heard. Right. But the month before he passed, I was with him at the VA. We were applying for benefits for my mom, in case of his passing. But in order to get PTSD benefits, you have to tell what happened. And at first, he didn't want to do it. And I was like, come on, like, we're all here. Just take a couple deep breaths. My dad's a baby boomer. Baby boomers were pretty much emotionless, right? So I'd never really seen him get emotional outside of funerals. But like he drops his head, and then the most gut wrenching part was I see tears hitting the table. And so then he picks his head up, and then he just starts talking. Right. And I'm not going to share what he said, but he held that in for 6 decades. He held that in. So I'm tailoring my speaker program to help the veterans tell that story, because there is still a high suicide rate in male veterans, because they get out of the service and now their purpose is gone. Like, their purpose was serving the country. And then now some of them have been deployed and seen horrible things. Maybe they've seen horrible things domestically too, but you're supposed to be a man and not talk about it. And then a lot of people end up taking their own lives. So I know exactly what it is that I want. And so for people, a lot of them, they're stuck because they don't have that clarity of vision. Like, you'll hear me say that a lot in my talks. There's a whole chapter in my book about the difference between an idea, a goal, and a vision. Because a lot of people have an idea. Like, an idea is, I want to get in better shape. Like, a goal is, I want to lose 20 pounds. But a vision is, this time next year, I want to be on that cruise in my 2-piece, feeling the most confident that I've ever felt. I will have inspired my husband to drop some weight as well, put on some more muscle. See, that's a vision. And so when people get to that point, your path becomes clearer, and it's much harder to get stuck.
The part where you said about how men are not really supposed to open up about emotion, I 100% agree that a lot of people don't open up about it. And because it's a public image, they fear that if a guy opens up, it shows weakness. And, necessarily it's not true. It just kind of shows that you're human. I think everyone
Yes.
has the right to open up and discuss their feelings with someone. People don't need to hold back and put on this persona and have to accommodate certain people. It because all that is doing is hurting you internally, and it's building up and it's going to chew you alive. And so the people that are listening, and this could be men, women, everyone, don't be afraid to speak up about something, or if you have something that you need to say, speak up. Don't hold it back. Who cares what people are going to think? As long someone out there is going to care and matter about what you have to say. You don't have to hold it back. So I 100% think that people need to be more open and be able to share what they're going through with other people, because it could help them as well. Uh,
Yes.
to kind of wrap things up, for people that want to kind of find you and keep in touch with you, plug all the socials and everything that you've got, website and everything.
Okay. Yeah. So just quickly, if men aren't meant to cry, we wouldn't have tear ducts. So we just have to let that sink in. Like, men can't breastfeed because we don't have mammary glands. We don't have milk ducts, or whatever you
Right.
call it, right? So we weren't meant to do that. So that's
Hmm.
a societal construct. And to your point about not caring what other people think, like, once I got myself to that point, everything changes. Like, so much stress goes away because you're not worried about that. Like, this is me. This is authentically me. This is what you're getting. Like,
Yep.
when I speak on platforms, I wear a tank top. And I was on one last week, and the host was like, "Oh, I expected you to come more professional." I'm like, "I am. I manage a gym. This is my uniform, right? This is what I wear. So this is what you're getting." And by the
Hmm.
end of the interview, she didn't even care about my shirt at all. So it's about the content of what you're getting. You can help people look beyond that. So my book is on Amazon. A direct link is shutupandgrindbook.com. You can find my podcast on any of the podcast platforms by the same name, Shut Up and Grind. On socials, so now when I got my social accounts, I wasn't doing this. So I wish I could have just one for all of them, or maybe I can go back and start a new one with just one. But I'll just give you Facebook and Instagram. So Facebook is easy. It's at Robert B. Foster. Instagram is Robert_B_Foster. Oh, and the website, robertbfoster.com.
Well, the good thing about you having multiple websites is I always put all the links in the description box. So all the links will
Oh,
be
okay.
there. His podcast, his book, his website, all of his socials will be in the description box below. So everything's all in one place. So they can have one place to find you. So it makes it easy for them to be able to find you and everything. But I appreciate you so much and thank you for coming on and sharing your story and sharing some advice to people about getting out there and changing their lives for the better. Do you still do running and tracks anymore, or have you kind of focused more on public speaking and running the gym?
Well, I've been battling knee injuries the last couple of years, so I haven't competed since 2022. Now, yeah. 2022 was the last time I competed, but I would like to, but now I got something brewing. Like the big knee surgery was on my left knee. Now my right knee is acting up, so I'm waiting to have an MRI on that one. But I'm 50 now, so I knew eventually age was going to catch up to me. So, but I would like to get back out there for one final
Your knees are like, we've had enough. It's time
hurrah.
to
For
retire.
real. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me and being able to tell your story. Hopefully, my listeners, if you are struggling, reach out to him. Check him out, especially get his book. He's got great advice, so I highly recommend it. So thank you so much for joining on today.
Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
As always, you can also follow me on social media as well, on Instagram and TikTok at Lethal Venom Podcast, as well as follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at Noah's Podcast. And as always, listen to Lethal Venom wherever you get your podcasts from. It's available on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Pandora. It's everywhere where you get podcasts, so feel free to subscribe so you get notified when new episodes drop. Thank you to everyone for tuning into today's episode. Hope you enjoy it. Hope you all have a great rest of your day and week. Be safe, and I'll catch you all in the next episode of Lethal Venom.